So you understood globalization is not only associated with goods, but it's also associated with with culture, with languages. So it's become a global village. We have become more closely associated with each other now. But then the fact being, children, globalization is not a new phenomenon for us. So it is an age-old process that we have been seeing for a long time. I'll, now we're going to study actually about this impact of globalization, but globalization is not new to us in any which way. We've always heard about the Indian spices being exported to different countries of the world, isn't it? That was in the 19th century when the European traders actually came to India. And since then, the southern part of India has been growing these spices. Until today, we are one of the most important exporters of spices. So globalization is a term which has been introduced now, but we were always associated with it. And if you remember the cotton textile industry during the British time, the industries in Manchester and Liverpool actually flourished because of the cotton that we produced here. It was exported to these countries. And the British actually were attracted to these cotton belts in India. And then all these was exported to the foreign countries. And I'm sure you might have even heard about the Champaran movement. Anybody who's heard about the Champaran movement?
Champaran Satyagraha.
Yeah, what is it about?
Ma'am, the people of Bihar were forced to grow cash crops.
Correct.
And that is why Gandhiji walked all the way
Correct.
there
Very
to
good. Yes, it is about cash. They forced the farmers to grow indigo because they wanted it for the textile industries abroad, and they were unable to grow food grains to sustain their own families. So because of which this movement was initiated in Bihar, as rightly said. So globalization has been a very much part of us right from the beginning. But why is this affecting our farmers today? Why is it affecting after 1990? So why India being an important producer for rice, cotton, rubber, tea, coffee, spices, but yet we are not being able to compete with the developing countries because of the highly subsidized agriculture which is being done in those countries. Why is it happening? This has happened after the LPG reform which was brought about in India after 1990. So what is this LPG, Aman? Liquid petroleum gas? What kind of reform is this?
Liberalization, privatization, and globalization.
Very good. It is about liberalization, privatization, and globalization, because of which the taxes have reduced and the foreign products are easily coming into India, and because of which we are not being able to face the competition of the products which are being brought from the other countries because of the support that is being given to them by their governments. So because of these reasons, today Indian agriculture finds itself at the crossroads. Right? What is a crossroad? Pranav, what's a crossroad? Why am I saying it's on crossroads?
I'm like on one side we're getting advantage, but one side again we are getting disadvantages.
The
like
crossroad is basically that we have different options available now where to go. So it might be difficult for us to decide because majority of our population is associated with agriculture, but the amount of contribution is less. Yet we want to develop, we are striving to do our best, but then what is happening is not enough. So but why are we in this situation? We are in this situation because of the population increase. We are there because the population is increasing, but the income is reducing and the land size is also reducing. Like because of the law of rule of inheritance, the economists say that Indian farmers will have a very bleak future, because if they continue growing food grains on these holdings which are growing smaller and smaller by the day, the contribution to the economy is going to reduce. And India's rural population is about 600 millions, which is in the villages, which depends upon about 250 million hectares of agricultural land, which contributes to less than half a hectare for an individual. So future is bleak. So because of that, we are on the crossroads. So what are we to do? These are our concerns. But it's not that we've left it over here. We've moved ahead. We've thought over it and tried to overcome this. So what was the first thing that was brought about was the Green Revolution, which you're all aware of. So basically, the various technological and institutional reforms which were brought about was to give a proper thrust should be given to actually improve the condition of the marginal and the small farmers. That's why all this consolidation, collectivization, land ceiling act, all of that was brought in. And then we went ahead with the Green Revolution. Green Revolution did increase the productivity of the agricultural land to great extent. We moved from a begging bowl to somebody who can export products. But then it had its own backlash. Today, people are not very eager to use food which has been grown using a lot of fertilizers and pesticides and insecticides, because we all know it's going to have effect on our health. It's going to take a toss on our health. So people are moving on they're trying to find out alternatives to this. So what are the alternatives that the people are trying to find?
Ma'am, organic farming.
Yes. So they are moving to organic farming. So they think that nowadays organic farming is in vogue. Why? Because this is practiced without any chemicals or fertilizers being used, and it doesn't have a negative impact upon the environment. Like the backlash in case of Green Revolution was that because of this heavy use of chemicals, pesticides and insecticides, and what's happening, more crops were grown on rotation. It resulted in degradation of the land to great extent. Okay, the land was degraded to a great extent. The aquifers were drying. So it was affecting the biodiversity. So all of these were very important factors which took us away from Green Revolution, and we are trying to find out newer ways. The first thing was, like what he said, is organic farming. And but we have an important advantage over the other countries, is that India has a diverse climate which can be harnessed to grow wide variety of crops. So we are trying on diversification of crops for the farmers. Like the government is trying that the Indian farmers should grow more cash crops such as fruits, medicinal herbs, flowers, vegetables, fuel crops. So that because these crops will need less of irrigation as compared to rice and sugarcane, we are trying to save the environment and get money too. If you do follow what the other economies are doing, like if you can see Italy, Israel, China, what do they do? These are the countries, actually they export fruits, olives, seeds, wine, all these are cash crops. The burden on the fields and irrigation is less, but they earn more money, and then they buy cereals instead. So this is of course something, this is debatable. We need to think about it if we can do it in India, but we are diversifying agriculture. And besides this, one more alternative which India is following is gene revolution. Gene revolution is involving genetic engineering. It is recognized as a powerful supplement in inventing actually new hybrid variety of seeds. So in India especially, we are working on, we are using cotton. Cotton seeds are being used widely, the gene modified variety. And of course, experiments are also being conducted on maize, mustard, sugarcane, and other medicinal plants. So what happens in this gene modification is the good qualities are inculcated from within the genes of the seeds. So we needn't top it up with fertilizers to have a good crop or have a good quality of product. For example, cotton is infested with a worm which is known as bollworm. So the gene improved variety has this capacity to fight against this worm. So it is not affected with these major crop pests. So you have a better productivity. So these are the various different go way ahead that we are trying to find out after we saw that green revolution did not prove right to us. That is gene revolution. We are talking about organic farming. We are talking about diversification of agriculture into various different cash crops. Right? So this is about India changing our kind of growing completely and moving on to growing only these cash crops is of course debatable. How we are going to take it is we need to see on that. Any doubts still here, children?
No, ma'am.
Clear, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
basically,
ma'am.
about the impact of globalization here. When we talked about the impact of globalization, globalization is not something new that we are seeing. We've always been associated with export of spices from the earliest of times, cotton, spices. We've seen globalization, but it wasn't affecting our economy. We were doing well with it. But only after liberalization, the LPG reform, we are seeing foreign competition, and the foreign competition is basically because of the subsidized agriculture which is followed in the foreign countries. The support by the government is much more as compared to the support that we can possibly give. It's not we do not want to give, but we are not able to give. So that's why the Indian farmer is facing this competition. But we are trying to move ahead. We are trying to see a way out, and we have found ways out. We are moving on to organic farming. We are moving on to gene revolution. We are moving on to diversification of agriculture. So these are the various different things that we are trying to do so that we can come out of this moment of crisis. So that's about globalization, children. And food security is not included in your syllabus, because of which I have skipped that. So I'll sum it up with this small video. You can see that. I hope I can show you that. Where is it?
Globalization is the movement of people, goods, capital, and ideas across international borders. This has helped in the exchange of new technologies and reduction in barriers of trade and commerce. Globalization provides opportunities, and this is noticeable in Indian agriculture, where gene technology has helped in the cultivation of new hybrid quality of fruits and vegetables. It has also introduced newer strains of genetically modified seeds that are resistant to pests, and seeds that ensure better germination and output of food products. Globalization has also helped to reduce barriers of trade, as a result of which the cost of importing food products has become more affordable. This has allowed certain exotic fruits to be made available in local markets. But globalization is not without its challenges. The reduction of tariffs meant that as cheap imports flooded our markets, the prices of crops grown at home were pushed downwards. The cost of inputs spiraled as local seed companies closed down in the face of global competition. And subsidies on pesticides were reduced, raising the cost of input for farmers, thus pushing the marginal Indian farmer into a debt trap.
So clear, children, that's the situation today. So we are working towards it, and what we have done to move ahead is we've talked about the various different ways and methods that we have tried to find out with diversification, with gene revolution, and of course organic farming and consolidation of the farmland. So this is about the globalization of its impact on globalization in agriculture and on our economy. I think with this we come to the end of the lesson, but we'll be discussing the question answers in the next class and we'll be doing the map work. So please keep at least 3 maps ready with you. We'll do with